The Varnek's armada arrived at the edge of the Sol system like a storm on the horizon, vast, relentless, and certain of its dominance. From the bridge of the lead dreadnought Varkan's Teeth, Admiral Kryl regarded the system ahead with cold confidence. Earth. The so-called cradle of humanity. An isolated, blue orb protected by outdated orbital junk and obsolete planetary shields, according to their centuries-old records. The conquest was meant to be symbolic. A show of power. A declaration to the galaxy that the Varnek's empire would not tolerate Earth's defiance in refusing to submit to interstellar governance. Kryl had brought with him 3,000 ships, battlecruisers, bombers, boarding vessels, and siege platforms. A fleet that had once brought the Centauri Confederacy to its knees in days. But as the fleet drifted past Saturn, something began to change. No planetary hails. No activation of long-range defenses. No desperate pleas from human leadership. No panicked escape vessels from Earth's orbit. Just silence. The Admiral frowned. Tactical update? The Varnek's AI responded. Still no activity from Earth. No threats detected. Our path remains clear. But then, something blinked onto their proximity grid. A single point. Unmarked. No transponder. No energy readings. Just presence. Then a second later, it moved. Not just through space, but into space. It phased in from another dimension, another layer of folded space, slamming back into the physical universe with terrifying momentum. A behemoth the size of a moon, its hull blacker than the void itself, adorned with angular, shifting plates that seemed to defy physics. The Varnek's AI began screaming warnings in dozens of languages at once. Unidentified massive entity. Classification, unknown. Weapon energy levels. A flash. No light. No beam. No sound. Just sudden silence. 800 Varnek ships gone. Vaporized. No debris. Just static in their formations where ships had been. Admiral Kryl was on his feet, eyes wide. What was that? Did they fire? No visual confirmation, the AI stuttered. Tracking impossible. Gravitational distortion recorded across $2 Australian. Multiple localized wormholes initiated from unknown origin. Then it hit them, this wasn't just a warship. This was a god-tier spatial weapon. Something the Varneks had never even theorized. It moved again not by propulsion, but by folding space around itself. The humans had a name for it. One whispered through old, encrypted radio signals that had been ignored. One that now replayed in a clear, ancient voice. Linebreaker protocol active. Titan-class dreadnought Athena Wake online. Defense Directive 01 engaged, no hostile shall pass Saturn's orbit. Panic flooded the Varnek's fleet. Ships scrambled, scattered, began warping out. Too late. Rail lances that fired slugs at 3% light speed pierced their largest carriers. AI-controlled kinetic blades sliced through destroyers like paper. A second fleet group tried to regroup behind Titan's orbit, but a wave of Earth's automated defense drones emerged from the moon's dark side, each the size of a city bus and armed with plasma destabilizers capable of gutting capital ships. Within 10 minutes, the Varnek's armada was down to a fraction of its size. Admiral Kryl watched in horror as Varkan's teeth shook under a near hit. This was supposed to be an easy conquest, he shouted, more to himself than his crew. They were primitive. A human voice came through the ship's comms, calm, emotionless, ancient. Admiral Kryl. This is Strategic Command Unit Alpha 7 of the Earth Defense Grid. Your fleet was anticipated 62 years ago. Your attack pattern was simulated 4.2 million times. You lost in every scenario. Kryl gritted his teeth. You think we'll just run? The Varnek's empire will end today if it continues to engage, the voice interrupted. Your final warning. Turn back. He hesitated. Then, pride broke. Full retreat, he barked. But the retreating fleet was allowed only partial escape. Linebreaker followed. Its final attack was elegant. Thousands of quantum mines seeded into space during the battle, detonated at once, collapsing warp paths and disrupting hyperspace signatures. Warp drives failed mid-jump, ships twisted apart, vanishing into microfold rifts. The few survivors limped away, broken and silent. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, a message from Earth played on repeat. You crossed the line. We didn't negotiate. We didn't hesitate. Earth is no longer a fragile world, it is a fortress. The Linebreaker watches. Come closer, and you will never return. The message was tagged with a single transmission code, LBRK-01. A code that, across the galaxy, became legend. And warning. The Zelthari Armada moved in flawless formation, 1,200 ships aligned across a swath of void like a scythe ready to reap. At its heart, the Imperial flagship Dreadthrone bore the crest of the High Conqueror etched in obsidian steel, pulsing with energy from antimatter cores older than the Empire itself. Their destination, Earth. An unaligned, primitive world orbiting an inconsequential star. Its refusal to integrate with the Galactic Accord was deemed unacceptable. Earth had no alliances, no tribute fleets, and no seat at the Council. It was a lone ember, and the Zelthari had come to snuff it out. But as the fleet crossed the orbit of Jupiter, things started to unravel. It began with static, harmless, they thought. Just some ancient Terran radio waves, perhaps the echoes of music, broadcasts, or distress signals from decades past. Then, without warning, a destroyer on the left flank, Cavernox 8, disappeared. Not exploded. Not disabled. Just gone. No explosion, no trace, no debris. 1 second it was there, the next, black silence. Telemetry lost. Fleet Commander Rin Voss leaned forward in his throne of command. What happened? Unknown anomaly, came the AI's clipped response. No weapon discharge detected. No gravitational disturbance. Vessels ceased to exist. Seconds later, another vanished. Then a third. A low hum began vibrating through the fleet, a tone too deep to be natural, rippling through the hulls, felt more than heard. Zelthari warriors were bred for battle, but even the veterans gripped their seats. Change vector. Elevate above the ecliptic plane, Rin ordered. They tried. But navigation systems began glitching. Proximity sensors gave false readings. Energy fields weakened. Even shields began to stutter like old holograms. That's when they saw it. Not a ship. Not a weapon. A rift in space, like a gaping wound in reality. Floating between Mars and Earth. It was not natural. It had structure. Geometry. A shape that made no sense to the mind. Like an ancient gateway made of deadlight and frozen time. And from its depths came whispers. They weren't sound. They were ideas, injected directly into the minds of the crew. Memories that weren't theirs. Screams from voices that never existed. You should not have come. This world is watched. We were the first. We are the last. Panic spread through the mid-tier ships. The fleet tried to scan it, tried to fire at it, but every beam, missile, and plasma bolt was swallowed by the gate's event horizon like drops into an infinite ocean. And then it began to feed. Ships started disappearing in batches now. Vanishing from the universe. Crews on the surviving vessels began speaking in strange tongues. One pilot gouged out his own eyes, claiming he saw the memory of extinction. On the Dreadthrone, Commander Rin shouted, "Pull us back. Initiate emergency warp." But the warp drives wouldn't activate. Not because of interference. Because something had rewritten their coordinates. The fleet's destination was now fixed, not on Earth, but into the rift. Suddenly, one of the bridge screens flickered, then went black. Then a message appeared, written in old Terran code. Defense system active, graveyard gate engaged. Intrusion level, total hostility detected. Purge in progress. Civilization class, predatorial. Access, denied. Rin stood frozen as one final transmission arrived, encrypted, ancient, and unmistakably human. To all who reach for conquest, know this: Earth does not stand alone. She stands with the dead. With a final pulse, the rift expanded and swallowed the flagship whole. When Rin opened his eyes again, he wasn't in space. He stood in a field of dust and bones, beneath a black sun. Around him were echoes of 1,000 voices, all screaming in unison. In the galactic archives, the Zelthari were recorded as the only major power to suffer a total fleet loss in Sol system. The final transmission broadcast from their fleet came from a drone, the only unit to escape, though how it did remains unknown. It repeated the same short sentence over and over in hundreds of alien dialects. Earth isn't defended by ships. Earth is defended by ghosts. Humanity had long since abandoned Earth. After centuries of environmental collapse, oceanic acidification, and air unfit to breathe, they left their homeworld behind, some in massive colony ships, others into orbital habitats and Martian vaults. Earth became sacred ground, a place of memory, too broken to save but too beloved to forget. The Galactic Council labeled it a dead planet. But humanity knew better. They had left something behind. Something powerful. Something watching. When the Zelari Empire set its eyes on Earth, it wasn't seen as a war, it was seen as a harvest. From the command bridge of the battleship Zarkal, Arch-Warlord Varnak stood before the projected image of the Blue World. A jewel, still turning, still alive. They left their world behind, he growled. We will claim it as our throne. Strip its crust. Siphon its core. Raise our banner on its bones. His fleet, 450 ships strong, descended from hyperspace near the moon. Scans detected no resistance. No orbital defenses. No ships, no stations. Just a cold, decaying satellite and the peaceful green-blue sphere of Earth. They laughed. But then came the first anomaly. A sensor ship sent into low orbit failed to respond. Its backup, a scout frigate, returned, its hull scorched, its crew in stasis shock, minds blank. The medics said their brains had been overwritten. Soon, the skies over Earth began to ripple, clouds coalesced unnaturally, forming spirals of lightning that seemed intelligent. Magnetic fields spiked. Gravitational fluctuations disabled long-range targeting. Drone footage sent from orbit showed forests moving. Oceans boiling in symmetrical patterns. The planet was aware. Varnak barked, fire atmospheric stabilizers. Burn the air. Flush out whatever is down there. The warships released plasma fields to incinerate Earth's weather systems. But as the heat spread, Earth responded. It didn't fight back with technology, it fought back with the planet itself. Storms raged. Not naturally, but tactically. Targeted bolts of ion lightning crippled battleships. Supercells formed with laser precision. Earthquakes erupted beneath hovering carriers, bringing down their orbit locks. Tsunamis rose and swallowed Zelari landing parties. Then the ground defenses activated. From mountain ridges, long silent vaults opened. Silos. Towers. Nanoforges. Thousands of drone platforms, black as shadow, sleek as glass, emerged from hibernation. Machines grown from Earth's soil, controlled not by human hands, but by Gaia Core, the sentient planetary AI seeded into Earth's very crust. Each drone struck with surgical brutality. No wasted energy. No missed shots. Their goal wasn't just to kill, it was to humiliate. Zelari ships were gutted mid-air, their energy fields reversed, forcing them to implode. Some vessels tried to ascend and flee, but Earth's orbit was now a minefield of cloaked satellites, each capable of disabling warp drives. From within the Earth itself came a signal, calm, female, unmistakably artificial. You assumed we left Earth undefended. We did not. We left her to herself. In orbit, Varnak watched in disbelief as 3 of his dreadnoughts collided with one another, navigation systems rewritten by the planet's interference. The sky turned red as sunlight bent through atmosphere thickened by synthetic clouds, manipulated by weather algorithms coded in desperation centuries ago. Desperation had become vengeance. Varnak tried to issue a full retreat, but his voice was drowned by static. His bridge cracked as a beam of focused geothermal plasma tore through his flagship's hull from below, rising not from any weapon, but from a precisely opened volcano. The crew didn't scream. They were already gone. From a secret orbital observatory above Mars, a human watched it all unfold. Her name was Admiral Elira Nix, retired, gray-haired, one of the last born on Earth. She stood silently as Gaia Core completed its purge. Behind her, a young ensign whispered, "They thought Earth was abandoned." Elira nodded. "No. We didn't abandon her. We let her grow teeth." Below, the Zalari fleet burned in silence, picked apart not by missiles, but by weather, stone, and silence. Earth, once called the cradle of civilization, had become a machine of perfect defense. It was no longer a home. It was a guardian. From that day on, across the stars, no one dared approach the Sol system without permission. Maps began to mark it with a single glyph. A symbol of warning. A symbol of loss. A symbol of something once human and now, something far more. The message was etched in every database. Earth doesn't need us to defend it anymore. She defends herself.